Henry's handcar havoc. There you go, Henry, said Porter, and now you're free to go. Henry was feeling very pleased. You know, he said, pulling the flying kipper really is an important job for me, he said. It also makes me a splendid sight RB. Is that so? Said James cheekily. You weren't a splendid sight RB when you were supposed to take the express but failed after your paint accident, he said. Henry was very cross. You know, James, he said, why don't you go fly off the tracks like you did the last time? This made James very cross. Before an argument could break out, Mike bustled in. What's going on? He asked. This isn't even any of your business, Mike, they both said. Mike's smile soon dropped out and he puffed away sadly. Soon Porter could see how down Mike was feeling. Don't worry about them, he said. They'll soon know how really useful they are. Once they start to calm down, they'll know how nice and friendly you are. Thank you, Porter, said Mike doubtfully, and he knew Porter was right. At last, it was time for Henry to leave the docks. He hurried along the line with the flying kipper, and when he went up the hill, he was forced to stop. He knew what his driver was about to say. The coastal track is too dangerous, he said, and this could be dangerous for a heavy engine such as yourself. Now James will have to take the flying kipper. Henry was now most annoyed of giving up his favourite job, but he knew it was the right thing to do. The next day Henry was in a bad mood. Both Mike, Bertram and Duke were telling jokes about him, and Henry was not happy about it. You know, said Mike, the flying kipper is so busy for most engines that find it popular that they even need another 2 extra bunch of engines to take care of Henry's jobs, he said. Henry was beginning to feel cross. How dare you, Mike, he shouted. You're so fat that even the fat controller has to replace you with a handcar, he said cheekily. This made Henry cross, but both Bertram and Duke just laughed. That all-style engine really showed you, shouted Bertram. Just you wait, said Henry. When he's over and done with, you two will be laughing, he said, and he puffed away feeling most offended, but both Bertram and Duke were not convinced. Later, Henry was still in a bad mood when he didn't know Mike was only joking. When he arrived at the station, he saw Mike with Murdoch and Stafford. When he saw Mike, he was not happy. So you think I'm a disgrace to this railway, do you? He burst out towards Mike. He burst out towards Mike. You know that's not true, said Mike. You know that what I was saying to Bertram and Duke this morning were only jokes, he said. But when Henry saw the handcar, he was not happy. Right, Mike, he said. If I bump this handcar, I'll show it how really useful I am. Come on, Henry, chuckled Mike. You know, he said, that handcar can't even do anything. Since how long were you stuck in that tunnel for? He asked innocently. Both Murdoch and Stafford began to laugh. Henry was so angry that he thumped the handcar so hard that it went racing down the track. Soon Henry realised his mistake. Uh-oh, mumbled Murdoch. You better go catch it fast. Oh dear, said Henry, and he raced off to find the handcar. Soon he stopped outside the sheds where he found both Molly, Dennis and Neville resting. "You have to help me," he asked. What for?" asked Molly. "You seem out of breath. Did any of you see a runaway handcar?" "Why, yes, we did," said Dennis. "I thought I was seeing things." "Yes," agreed Neville. You never see anything like this racing around Sodor, do you?" "How do you stop a runaway handcar?" he asked sadly. "Maybe you'll be lucky and it will race back down on a hill," said Molly optimistically. "Oh dear," groaned Henry. "Now the handcar havoc will never be stopped," and he puffed sadly away. Meanwhile, back at the station, Emily had just arrived at the station when James puffed up. He wasn't in a good mood. "Can you take my passengers for me?" he asked Emily. "I have to go pull the flying kipper again." "Why?" asked Emily. "Because Henry seems to be running after a handcar he bumped this morning." Mike was surprised to find out Henry was still not stopping the handcar. "I better go help him at once," he whispered to himself, and he puffed away. "Well," said Emily to James, I can take your passengers, sure, but you better be careful around the coastal track." "Okay then," said James, and they both agreed. Luckily, moments later after that, Henry arrived next to a siding where Diesel was resting. "You've got to help me, Diesel," he begged. "Oh," said Diesel, "I see you're chasing after your friends, the handcar." "Please, Diesel," he said, "you weren't thinking of hiding it from me, weren't you?" "Oh," said Diesel crossly, You're getting into trouble, and I haven't done anything wrong," he said. "Maybe you'll be lucky soon enough when you find it," he said, "before the Fat Controller finds out that when it's derailed, you'll know it's your fault. It won't be good enough for the railway, won't it?" And Henry puffed away. "He'll send me back to the tunnel for sure," he said sadly. At last, Henry was lucky. He had just arrived at the mountains when he saw the handcar in a ditch. It was muddy and broken and looked like that it needed repairs. "Phew," said Henry, "but now what's going to happen after it needs repairs?" he said to himself. Just then, Mike appeared from behind. "Henry," he said cheerfully, "you finally stopped the handcar. It nearly crashed into me and dented my front," complained Norman. "Don't worry," said Henry. "At least that fun part is over," he said, and then he finally decided to thank Mike. "Thank you," he said, and I can't believe you've helped me after all the trouble you caused after your return to Sodor from Arlesdale," he said. "That's no problem," said Mike. "After Frank and I played that trick on James the other day," he said, "I've learned that to team up with someone on your own side, you can have a good friend." "Exactly," agreed Henry. "Now that fun part's over, I can finally say that the handcar havoc is over." And at last, the two good friends puffed away feeling happy together.